Okay, so in this review, I am going to be going over the chapter 4. This one wants me to solve the triangle and then to round the lengths to the nearest tenth and the angle measures to the nearest whole degree. So I'm going to start off with my angle measure right here. I'm solving for B because I have my other two angles. This is going to be 180 minus 95 minus 50. And then I would do this on my calculator to get 35 degrees. So on this review, I am going to write my answers off to the side. Then I need to find my values of A and C. These are side lengths. Since I have two angles in a side, I'm going to use the law of sines, which is this one. It's the side length A over sine of A equals the side length B over sine of B equals side length C over sine of C. I am going to pick and choose those. I don't know A and C, so I'm going to do A equaling B, and then solve for A, and then do the same thing for B and C. So I am going to start off with this. I don't know my side length A. I do know that my angle A is 50, and I know my side length B is 3, and my angle for B we just found was 35. So I can go ahead and solve. I want to get A alone, so I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of 50. So if I rewrite this, I'm going to get A equals 3 sine of 50 over sine of 35. I can go ahead and type this into my calculator. I want to make sure it's in degrees. We shouldn't have changed it to radians, so it should be in degrees from the last time we've used it. I'm going to type in 3 sine of 50, close off my parentheses, divided by sine of 35, which gets me 4.000. So if I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, this is going to be 4. And then I want to go ahead and do the same thing for my side length C. So I'm going to have C over sine of 95, because my angle across from the C is 95, equals 3 sine of 35. Then I want to go ahead and get C isolated. So I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of 95. This is going to get me C on the left, and 3 sine of 95 over sine of 35. So then I can type that into the calculator. Which gets me 5.2. So those are my answers for number 1. Number 2, it gives me two angles and a side length again. So I'm going to start off by drawing my triangle. I know B is 49, C is 115, and B is 49. So I need to solve for side length A, side length C, and angle A. I'm going to start off with my angle. I'm going to do 180 minus the 49 minus the 115. So then I type this into my calculator and to get my angle. So I have 180 minus 49 minus, that's bad glare, minus 115 gets us 16. So A equals 16 degrees. Now that I know that, I can go ahead and solve for my missing side lengths. I'm going to do A, the side length, over sine of 16, the measure of angle A, equals, the other one I know completely is B. It's 49 and 49. Then I want to get A isolated, so I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of 16. this will get me, I have an right there. A equals 49 sine of 16 over sine of 49. So when I type this into the calculator, let's put this where this is. This will get me, when I round to the nearest 10, it'll get me 17.9. Then I want to go ahead and do the same thing for C. So I'm going to have 49 over sine 49 equals C over sine 115. I want to get the C alone, so I'm going to multiply both sides by sine 115. If I go ahead and rewrite this, I'm going to get C equals 49 times sine 115 over sine of 49. Then I want to go ahead and type this into the calculator. Which gets me 58.8. So these three are my answers. Number 3 again wants me to solve the triangle and then round the lengths to the nearest tenths and angles to the nearest degree. So I am going to label A, B, C. I know angle A is 11.12, angle C is 131.6, and A is 83.2. So then I want to go ahead and solve for my missing angle measure B. I'm going to do 180 minus 11.2 minus 131.6. So if I type this into my calculator, this gets me 37.2, and this was B. Then I want to go ahead and solve for my missing lengths. I'm searching for side length B and side length C. So I am going to plug into the law of sine still, because I still have two angles in one side. I have $83.2 as my side length for A over sine of 11.2. This is going to equal B on the top and then sine of 37.2. Then I want to isolate B, so I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of 37.2. If I rewrite this, this will get me B equals 83.2 sine 37.2 over sine 11.2. Then I want to type that into the calculator. Which gets me 258.9, this would round up, so it's actually going to be 259.0. Then I want to go ahead and do the same thing for C. I am going to, that's not right, C equals, I'm going to set this up. So I'm going to have the 83.2 over the sine 11.2 equals C over sine of 131.6. Then I want to get C isolated, so I'm going to multiply both sides by sine of 131.6. If I rewrite this, this is going to get me C equals 83.2 sine 131.6 divided by sine 11.2. Then I want to type this into the calculator and simplify. This gets me 320.3. So moving on, the next one is telling me two sides and an angle are given of a triangle. It wants me to determine whether the given measurements produce one triangle, two triangles, or no triangles at all. So when it tells me this phrase, I want to use law of sines again. And it wants me to solve each triangle that results. It wants me to round my lengths to the nearest tenth, and the angle measures to the nearest degree. So on part A, I'm going to start off by drawing my triangle. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to find my measure for angle A before moving forward. The way I do this is I use my law of sines. I have my side length for A, which is 25. I don't know my angle measure, so that's going to be sine of A. My B, I know my side length is 4, and my angle measure is 94. So then I want to go ahead and isolate my sine of A, so I'm going to cross multiply. This is going to give me 25 sine of 94 equals 4 sine A. Then I want to divide both sides by 4. So I have sine A equals 25 sine 94 divided by 4. To get my variable isolated, I want to find my inverse sine. So what I'm typing into the calculator is going to be sine inverse 25 sine 94 over 4. It tells me there is an error in the domain, so this one means there is no triangle. If I don't get an angle out, I can't even have a triangle. Okay. So moving on to B, I want to start this off the same. This one tells me C is 35, A is 18.7, C is 16.1. So I'm going to need to solve for my side length B and my angles A and B. To find, I have my A, so that's going to be the side angle measure I'm starting to solve for. I have 18.7 over sine A equals 16.1 over sine 35. So again, I want to cross multiply. This is going to give me 18.7 sine 35 equals 16.1 sine A. I want to go ahead and isolate my part with the A, so I'm going to divide both sides by 16.1. If I rewrite this, this is going to be sine A equals 18.7 sine 35 divided by 16.1. Then I want to go ahead and isolate the variable, so I'm going to find the inverse sine. This is going to give me A equals inverse of sine, 18.7 sine 35 divided by 16.1. So I want to type that into the calculator. Which gets me, this one wants me to round angle measures to the nearest degree, so this is going to give me 42. Remember, I can have more than one angle, so what I want to do is see if the second one's going to work. So I'm going to do a sub 2. This would be 180 minus 42, which gets me 138. I want to take 138 and add it back to the other angle I already have to see if it'll work. I need this to be less than 180. 138 plus 35 is 173, which is less than 180. So I'm going to have two angle measures for A. My first one was 42, and the second one, I'm going to do the 138. Then to find my measures for angle B, I need to, my first angle B is going to match up with the first angle A. So I'm going to have 180 minus the 35 minus the 42. That gets me 103. Then I'm going to do the same thing for B2, and I'm going to take the 180 minus the 35 because that angle for C isn't going to change, and then my second angle was 138. So 180 minus 35 minus 138 gets me 7 for my second angle for B. Those were all angle measures. Then I need to go ahead and figure out my side lengths for B1 and B2. So I'm going to use law of sines. I know for A, I have 18.7, and my A1 is 42. This is going to equal B1 over sine of my B1 was 103. So to solve this one, I want to multiply both sides by sine 103. Which will get me B1 equals 18.7 sine 103 over sine 42. Which gets me 27.2. Then I want to go ahead and do the same thing for for B2. So I'm going to have the 18.7 over the sine 138, no, not 138, 7. My second B value is 7. Equals B2 over, no, this was the 138. My bad. This is my second A value, and then my second B value was 7. So then I would go ahead and multiply both sides by sine 7 to get rid of it from the right side. This is going to get me B2 equals 18.7 sine 7 over sine 138. Which gets me 3.4. These are all my answers for B. There were 2 triangles. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for C. Let me just draw a line since my work kind of ran off. I will make sure to give you guys more space on your copy. So, on this one, I want to start off by drawing my triangle. I have A, B, C, 63, 10, 8.9. So I want to use law of sines to figure out my angle measure for A. I am going to have 8.9 over sine of A equals 10 sine of 63. On this one, I want to cross multiply. So I'm going to have 8.9 sine of 63 equals 10 sine A. I want to divide both sides by 10. This will get me sine A equals 8.9 sine 63 over 10. Then I need to find the inverse of my sine. So this is going to get me A equals sine inverse 8.9 sine 63 over 10. Then I want to go ahead and type that into the calculator. Which gets me, this one is an angle measure, so I want to round to the nearest whole number, 52. And then I need to check to see if this is going to have two triangles. So I would do 180 minus 52 to find the angle measure, which gets us 128. And then I want to add 128 back to the original angle I had and see if this is less than 180. 128 plus 63, more than 180, so there is only one triangle. So then I only need to solve for one. This is 52, so then to find C, it's 180 minus 63 minus 52. Which gets me 65. Then I just need to find my side length for C. So what I want to do here is my law of sines. I'm going to have 8.9 over sine 52 equals C over sine 65. Then I want to multiply both sides by sine of 65. This, if I rewrite it, gets me C equals 8.9 sine 65 over sine 52. Then I want to go ahead and type that into the calculator. Which gets me 10.2 if I round. So these are my answers for part C. Okay, this one wants me to solve the triangle and round my lengths to the nearest tenth and the angle measure to the nearest degree. Because I have three sides given, I'm going to want to use my law of cosines. I want to start off with my largest side length as my one it equals, so this is C, and I'm going to plug into that formula. So I'm going to have, I was going to write this up above, C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine C. Then I want to go ahead and plug in, so I'm going to have 7 squared equals, this is C, B, A, 6 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 times times 6 times 5 cosine c. Then I want to go ahead and simplify. So this is going to be 49 equals 36 plus 25. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12 times 5 is negative 60. Then I want to combine like terms. I need to be careful. I can only add the 36 and the 25 together. I cannot add this negative 60 because this is being multiplied by the cosine. So this is going to say 49 equals 36 plus 25 gets me 61. Oops, there was a 60 there. Then I want to go ahead and subtract 61 on both sides. 49 minus 61 gets me negative 12. Then I want to go ahead and divide both sides by negative 60. If I rewrite this, this is going to get me cosine c equals negative 12 over negative 60. I want to leave this as a fraction so it's as exact as possible. Then I want to get c alone, so I'm going to do cosine inverse of both sides. Again, if I rewrite this, this is going to give me c equals cosine inverse of negative 12 over negative 60. Which gets me 78.46. These want my angles rounded to the nearest degree, so C is going to be 78. Now that I know one of my angles on this triangle, I can go ahead and use law of sines to make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to use law of sines. I'm going to have 7 over sine 78 equals 6 over sine A. Then I want to cross multiply. This is going to get me 7 sine A equals 6 sine 78. I want to go ahead and divide both sides by 7, which gets me sine A equals 6 sine 78 over 7. I want to multiply both sides by the inverse of sine. This gets me A equals sine inverse 6 sine 78 over 7. Which gets me 56.9, which will round to 57. And then since there are 180 degrees in a triangle, I can take 180 and subtract the two angles I do know to find B. Which gets me 45. So I want to do the same thing for number 6, but I need to start off by drawing my own triangle. This gives me A is 8, B is 9, my angle for C is 123. So because I know my length, or my angle for C, I am solving for my side length C. This is going to be C squared equals 8 squared plus 9 squared minus 2 times 8 times 9 cosine 123. So what I can do is square root both sides. This will get me C square root of 8 squared plus 9 squared minus 2 times 8 times 9 cosine 123. And I can type that straight into the calculator like that. So I have square root of 8 squared, 9 squared minus 2 times 8 times 9 cosine 123. Which gives me 14.9. This is a side length, so I can keep that to the nearest tenth. Now that I know this side length, I can use law of sines to solve for my angle A. So I'm going to have 8 over sine A equals 14.9 over sine 123. I want to go ahead and cross multiply. This is going to get me 8 sine 123 equals 14.9 sine A. I want to divide both sides by 14.9. This gets me sine A equals 8 sine 123 over 14.9. Then I want to find my inverse sine to isolate my variable. This is going to give me A equals inverse sine 8 sine 123 over 14.9. Then I want to type that into the calculator. Which gets me 26.7. This is an angle measure, so this is going to round to 27. And then I'm missing my final angle measure, which is B. So I'm going to do 180 minus 123 minus 27. Which gets me 30. My last question wants me to use Heron's formula to find the area of the triangle and then round to the nearest square unit. Heron's formula is this last formula on my reference sheet. So I need to first find S and then plug into there. S is going to be 1/2, 5 plus 12, plus 9. So if I type that into the calculator, that gets me 13. And then plugging into the formula, I have the square root of 13 times 13 minus 5 times 13 minus 12 times 13 minus 9, which again, I can type this whole thing straight into the calculator. Which gets me 20 points. This one's nearest square unit, so I'm rounding up. This is going to be 20 units squared.